All right, so I got a solid half hour here, so let's finish up this book. Really excited to see this all the way through. It feels good to set a goal and to complete the goal. So, the next person being interviewed is Matt Harrison. Where do you work and what do you do there? I work at a company I created called Metasnake. It provides corporate training and consulting in Python and data science. That's awesome. I spend about half of my time teaching engineers how to be productive with Python or how to do data science. That's awesome. The other half is consulting and helping companies leverage these technologies. Wow. Okay, so this person definitely belongs in my LinkedIn. What is your favorite cloud and why? And you know what I would love to do is instead of doing that with Python, with AI, it's just like what are you doing now, and like how can you do that better by spending $20 a month on ChatGPT, using like Perplexity for free, developing your own AIs. I want a company that teaches engineers how to be productive with AI, and that consults and helps companies to leverage AI. That would be like, I don't know how to do that. Like I feel let's you know what this person is so like hitting all the right checking all the right boxes for me. Let's actually do things a bit out of order here and go and look them up on LinkedIn right now. So we've got a number of Matt Harrisons. It's a pretty popular name. We do have one here that does Python, AI, data, and corporate training. So I'm guessing this is the Matt Harrison being interviewed. I'm not sure how to. Yeah, so this is the Matt Harrison that owns the company Metasnake. So this is the Matt Harrison being interviewed in the book. So I'm going to whoa, and he's a mutual connection with let me pause it. I'll be right back. And you know what? I'm unpausing. I want this to be a part of my channel. I really want this. I want anyone watching my channel to see this. So I went to school in a 2-year degree, and I had a professor named Ross Begerditz. I am now sending a message to that professor saying, hey, I noticed you're connected with Matt Harrison. I'm reading a book, Python for DevOps, where Matt Harrison was interviewed. I am inspired by what he did. I'm inspired by his company, Metasnake. Myself, I have kind of dreamed of doing a similar thing, but instead of with Python, with AI, and kind of. So I want to see how that works. So let's build a template. I don't want to. I want the audience of this channel to see what I'm doing here, because I think this is an important part of a professional skill set. I'm not saying that I do this particularly well. In fact, I would say I do this particularly poorly. But I do think this is an absolutely essential part of a professional skill set in working with computers or anything. So I don't want to have this be hidden off camera. I want this to be a part of my channel. So I'm going to make this a part of my channel. So I'm going to build a template. So the first question, there we go. And then let me copy this. There we go. And now one of the things you can do with this is like, well, let's say you never get a response back. What is the map like? How does that? Nothing happens by not getting a response back. Like you want good things to happen, and by not getting a response back, nothing happens. Bad things don't happen, good things don't happen. It's fine to get ignored and ghosted, in my opinion. It's actually a pretty good outcome. The worst outcome is somebody comes back and says, F you, you little twit, go KYS. That's a bad outcome. But nobody in the professional space is going to do that. And if they do, you're dealing with an incredibly unprofessional person that you don't want in your network. Like, it's good that they don't communicate with you anymore. All you got to do is block them and move on. And you're already, it's like one bad apple spoils the bunch. Now you identify where's that bad apple, you take it out of the bag and throw it away. So there's really no downside in doing what I'm about to do, which is contact an old connection of mine, a former college professor, and tell them what I am doing currently. I am reading a book on Python ops for a YouTube channel I'm creating, and I'm adding the people interviewed in the last chapter of the book to my LinkedIn, and I noticed that one of the people I added is a mutual connection with this former professor of mine. And then I will add my thoughts that I'm inspired by this person because of their company. And I am also interested in a similar thing, but instead of having it be based around Python, have it be based around AI. So one thing I would like to do before I do this, though, is let me finish reading the interview. So I'll finish my thought here. So and I want to make this a complete part of my channel. I'm not going to show my. I'm going to do the best I can not to show the private messages, but or the responses, but. Naming names, I feel like there's no way around that. Like, I'm pretty sure this person's not in a witness protection program. So I wish there was a way I didn't have to like name names in a public way like this, but at the same time, I'm kind of not wish, because like, I feel like we're here, we're in the modern world, and the modern world involves public online interactions where your identity is there, and there's modern problems with that. There's identity theft, there's impersonation, there's things like that, which can be a problem, which is why instinctually I feel like I do have a little bit of an obligation when it to like protect someone's identity from a really wide public sphere. But that's all part of this, and that's why I want to make this public, so that this thought process of what I'm doing, because I'm sure a lot of people can resonate and have been here before, where they're like, oh, I want to do this, but I should respect the person's privacy, I should respect their time. I'm worried about humiliating myself, and they talk themselves out of doing something that I think is really effective. And we can talk to ChatGPT about that to get a better sense. Okay, so let's look at his responses. So before we do that, I'm gonna put down. I'm gonna finish my thought that I was starting. So, hey, I'm noticing that Matt Harrison is a connection of yours. I'm reading the book Python for DevOps for a series on my YouTube channel. So then I will link the series. So it's a playlist, and it's Python for DevOps. So here's the link to the full series. There we go. And then I'll do another line so that it's easy to. In chapter 16 of the book, there are interviews with technology. There is an interview with Matt Harrison. It was particularly inspiring to me because he created his own company to provide corporate training and consulting in Python and data science. Half of his time is spent teaching engineers how to be productive with Python, or how to do data science. The other half is consulting and helping companies leverage these technologies. Okay, so let me review this. So, hey, I'm noticing that Matt Harrison is a connection of yours, and I'm reading the book Python for DevOps for a series on my YouTube channel. In chapter 16 of the book, there is an interview with Matt Harrison. It was particularly inspiring to me because he created his own company to provide corporate training and consulting in Python and data science. Half of his time is spent teaching engineers how to be productive with Python or how to do data science. The other half is the reason it is inspiring. The reason this is inspiring to me is because I have thought about trying to do this myself. Post-pandemic, there has been a serious violation in employee trust by companies who did things like downplay the severity or reality of the pandemic, make false claims about remote work and its effectiveness when it comes to pandemic safety and workplace productivity. And what else? There's you always have to say three things. I feel like writing would be easier if I didn't have this instinct to say three things all the time. But the third thing, there was a very clear and force employees who were working remote before the pandemic to come back to the office under a blunt and coarse and poorly thought out and implemented return to office RTO mandates. This, coupled with an industry hiring downturn where people are struggling to find work especially remote, I believe makes entrepreneurship especially for so I'm going to put this in another one. Especially for creating healthy and thriving remote workspaces, a particularly lucrative area to go in a career. I think it's unique. I think it's a unique time that calls for unique strategies. There's a cultural paradigm shift where remote work and companies that embrace it will have a special advantage going forward. I was thinking, so my ideal situation company would be just like the one that Matt Harrison made, except instead of focusing on Python and data science, it would more generally focus on AI. In my own work, Chat GPT has made me way more effective for a cost of $20 per month. I believe that if I had an AI company like Metasnake, except that I focused specifically on AI, where half my time is spent teaching engineers how to be productive with AI, whether it be Chat GPT, or whatever else, including how to make custom AI. And the other half is consulting entirely remote, that I would have a unique offering to the space of to the technology space, and okay. What do you think? Could you set up a meeting? Could you set up an interview between myself and Matt for my YouTube channel? How have you been? Okay, so there, I'm not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. As I said, if the response is, is bad, then it's nothing lost. If the response is good, then it's everything gained. So I think this is part of a professional skill set when it comes to building out your professional network. So I wanted to make sure that this was a part of my channel, and I was transparent about this, because anyone watching my channel who wants to succeed in any career, even in tech, which, tech is, I think this is probably more important in places outside of tech, but in tech, it's especially hard to do this, I think, because people aren't kind of wired to do this naturally. And a lot of people kind of have a lot of self-doubts when it comes to, I should be going for my certification, I should be doing this, doing that. But no, you do need to build out that professional network, maintain those connections, expand your horizons. You need to know what you don't know. If you're just, only focusing on the JNCIESP, and then Juniper gets bought out by HP and it doesn't even exist anymore. I feel like I make that mistake a lot in my career, and I'm trying not to continue to make that. So this message, I think, was a really good way to kind of course correct. And I think, I want everyone watching this channel to see that and to be able to do that themselves, because I think that's a really valuable skill. And you can see how easy that was. That took me, we're at the 23-minute mark, like 10 minutes, easy. And the one thing I want to say, though, is I'm not just saying, hey, what's up? I'm giving real content. I'm showing that, I'm contacting this person because of a reason. I'm talking about real things. I'm not just wasting the person's time or occupying their mental space. It's as it said in the Odin Project, which is another series to go check it out. We're doing an exchange of value. I'm providing something to this person, and I'm hoping to kind of receive something back. It's reciprocity. It's it's reciprocity. That's really the best word for it. So let's look at reciprocity. So reciprocity is the practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit, especially privileges granted by one country or organization to another. So I asked him to set up an exchange. I'm not really offering that much to him. Maybe there's some value in hearing from a former student, especially hearing that they're doing well, in seeing their the kind of the things they're doing. So seeing my YouTube channel. So I feel like I am offering some value in that regard. I'm showing the things I'm doing, my YouTube channel. That's what I love with this channel. I have things to show for myself, even if it's, YouTube poop, the worst possible content you can find on YouTube. It's not nothing. I'm not showing up empty-handed. So I feel like I'm, non-market exchange of goods or labor, and it's labor. I'm providing what I'm doing here, I'm doing labor. I'm reading this book. I'm connecting with professional network. This is the key word. I might even just put this word in the description of this video. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to put this one word in the description of this video, because for this section of this playlist, this is a word I want everyone on this channel to know. The word is reciprocity. Reciprocity. It's not retro, R-E-T-R-O. It's like recipe, like cooking. So it's reciprocity. And resa is great. You can think of it like a recipe. It's the recipe for, making a cake, for baking something, for making things. You add flavors together for the mutual benefit of the dish you're cooking. If you just have an egg and you don't have the flour, sugar, all of that, then all you have is eggs, and maybe you don't want to have eggs every day. So you can bake a cake with a recipe that adds things together for mutual benefit to create a cake where no one would eat sugar on its own. You can bake it into a cake and people will eat it that way. So I like that it has the resa in it rather than the retro, because I think that kind of helps think about that kind of helps me explain why this is absolutely the word of the day, and why everyone watching this channel needs to know this word and really understand it deeply and try to apply it. All right, so I might actually be running out of time, but the next question is, what is your favorite thing about Python? Python fits my brain. It's easy to start from something simple to build an MVP and then productionize it. So it's easy to take it from just an idea, a prototype, something just straight from your imagination, and then create it into something people actually use and value and will pay for. I'm really enjoying using notebook environments like Jupyter and Colab. They make data analysis really interactive, and we saw that on actually in this series. You can see the output of the graphs really easily. What is your least favorite thing about Python? The built-in doc strings for classes, such as lists and dictionaries, need some cleanup. They are hard for newcomers to understand. That's kind of interesting. What is the software industry going to look like in 10 years? I don't have a crystal ball. For me, the main difference between now and 10 years ago is leveraging the cloud. Otherwise, I use many of the same tools. I expect programming in the next 10 years to be very similar. Off by one errors will still pop up. So the fence post errors, these are the things where you do a for loop and you go for the letters A, B, C, and D. Let's capitalize those letters. Okay, well, here's the results: A, B, and C. Well, why didn't you capitalize D? Because I didn't include that in the for loop. That's how this works. That will always be something that's difficult to do, and those kinds of mistakes will always happen. There's just some built-in inherent mistakes that make programming kind of difficult. So off by one errors are one of those. They'll still pop up. CSS will still be hard. Maybe deployment might be slightly easier. I would probably say at some point CSS maybe might not be as hard. I just feel like, I don't know. What technology would you short? I imagine that proprietary tools for data analysis will go the way of the dinosaur. There might be an effort to save them by open sourcing them, but it will be too little too late. Proprietary tools for data analysis. Oh yeah, that's a good point, and we've seen that with like Unix. These proprietary tools where if you want to use it, you have to pay me. Tend not to be used as widespread or adopted for as long as open source tools, where people can use them without going through kind of an icing the kicker in sports where you'll call a timeout before someone kicks a free throw, because now they have to kind of cool down and they're not warmed up as much. You're doing that when you have a proprietary tool. They can't use their tool until they go through a grueling sales process, and naturally there'll be less adoption even if it's a better tool. What's the most important skill you will recommend someone interested in Python DevOps learn? So let's finish this. I think curiosity and a willingness to learn are very important, especially as many of these tools are fast-moving targets. There seems to always be a new offering or new software. And one last thing I want to say about this, which is proprietary tools versus open source tools, is that in addition to this problem of icing the kicker, that's kind of, so not in addition, but contrasting to that, how do you make money from open source? That's its own problem as well. One thing you see online a lot is these free trials that automatically put you into a subscription. So sign up for 30 days for free. Then after 30 days, we'll start billing you $20 a month. So that's kind of the way, this is kind of unrelated to what I'm talking about, but it's a way to ease that friction. I think having a business mindset can be important. It's so sometimes I like to think about that, and this was an instance of doing that. What is the most important skill you would recommend someone learn? I have two. One, learning how you learn. People learn in different ways. Find out what way works for you. The other skill is not technical. It is learning how to network. And that's I like that. I like that response, and we saw that that's what I spent most of this video doing. It doesn't have to be a dirty word, and is very useful for people in tech. Most of my jobs and work have come from networking. This will pay huge dividends. Tell the readers something cool about you. I like to get outside. That might be running, ultimate hiking. I don't know what ultimate hiking means. Oh, maybe there's a comma. He likes to play ultimate frisbee and he likes to hike, or skiing. Personal website / blog. There we go. It's all associated with his business. So I'll advance the bookmark, delete the old one, delete the buggy one that just recreates itself, and then connect with Matt on LinkedIn. All right, and I already did the follow, so that's the end of that. And I can only do a short one at this time, so I can't finish the whole book right now. But that's good. Like I want this video to be about reciprocity. I think that's important to really emphasize. So that's the end of this video. Remember the word reciprocity. Sorry, and it's important to know words deeply. If you're constantly mispronouncing a word, you don't know what that word is. So you're just knowing it at a surface level. The word is reciprocity, like as if it were a recipe. Reciprocity. So that's what I want this video to be about. The practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit, especially privileges granted by one country or organization to the other. So that's the thing missing when it comes to discussions of networking. I think they teach you how to shake hands, do this thing, but they don't teach you why you would do that. And the answer is one word. The answer is reciprocity.